I worry about my reputation. Hi, I'm Milton Chang of Bonsai Heirloom. I worry about my reputation. People beginning to think that I only do big bonsais. I want to overcome that stigma. I actually love small bonsai, except I think, unless it's done really refined, the big bonsai tend to be more attractive. The reality is in China, people think of antiques as being very rough, old and rough, which is actually untrue. Chinese antique tend to be really refined, the fine antiques in the good old days, because people had time on their hands and people know how to do things. So you can have a little piece of jade and people will fondle it, and they can be worth a lot of money, a piece of jade. Whereas a big piece of jade, it's just commonplace, it's not worth very much and it's rough. And the same thing with bonsai. You can have very fantastic big bonsai, took, several generations to create, and those are incredibly valuable. So that's one kind. And then the Shohin, which according to the web, one commercial company state that Shohin by definition is about under 10 inches. So I took out a whole bunch of Shohin to show you a variety of Shohins that I do. And I give you a little history, in a sense, a little bit narrative about how I created these, so that if you ever decide to do so, you know what to expect, how quickly can I create a Shohin bonsai. So let me go over from here to here, not any particular sequence. This is a flowering quince. What you can do is you can buy flowering quince from mail order companies. Will probably flower for good 3-4 months. Sporadically, if you look in there, you can see there are a lot of buds coming out. Some of them are tiny little, so it will continue to bloom in phase. So what I did is I planted this in the ground, and when I just dug it up, I quite indiscriminately cut the top to roughly the shape I want. And, like I say, it was like that big a clump. And I just cut it to shape. And then I stuck in this pot quite, unceremonially, in a sense of not with the roots combine anything, because that is not possible with this kind of a bushy kind of a bush. So with that, then it started to grow. And because this pot is shallow for most mame bonsai or for shohin, I put it under a tub of water. It loves water. You will not drown the tree if you keep the water not rancid, in a sense of fresh. And this way I don't worry about the thing drying out. So you can easily do that. Buy a bare root or from a 1 gallon plant in a nursery. 3 to 5 years, it'll be quite a nice clump, and you can dig it up and do this. I did this tree, probably September, or maybe caught a year before that, September, and I stuck in this pot. So this been in the pot for 2 years, and that's what it takes to gradually fill out. And then if I clip it to shape it a little bit, then it would look clean. Not much you can do. You need to do just cut it in shape. When it grow outside of the range, you cut it. That's all. And where you cut it actually reinforces, and it will bloom afterwards. So you just continue to clip it quite roughly to keep it in shape, and then you have this nice clump style. Like this is a dead branch, you cut it off. So I'm just clipping off the excess growth, and like this one, it's not so nice now, but it's still alive, so I'll keep it. And nature will take over, fill it out where you cut off to make it look natural by definition. And that's what you have to do to maintain this bonsai. And you should leave a little extra growth because that's where the flowers will emerge. So you don't need to have the perfect refined detail, but leave some branches for it to, so the outside you make it a little shorter because that's what it's supposed to be outside of a forest, again, to emulate nature. Like this is dead, it's unsightly, so I cut off the dead branches. So these flowering queens are very easy to do and very pleasantable or very pleasing to look at. It's not a refined bonsai in a sense of detail. If you look at it, it's not very good, but at a distance and to enjoy the flower, that's pretty nice. I'm just cutting off all the dead branches. Okay, that's it. Next one is just an elm. And I chose this one because it's got a nice curve, but there's no rhyme or reason. So let me take it out, see if I need to reorient it. So if I look at it, you can see it was hovering like this, but if you make it upright, it looks much more interesting. So with that in mind, then let me put the soil back in. And I didn't disturb the roots, so it's quite fine. And it's also, this is springtime. So the trees can be disturbed and it will grow out quite nicely, no problem. And again, I'll show you this 3 to 6 months from now updates for this group of plants. I think you will enjoy seeing the progress of how these trees gets developed. So for example, I think the tree ought to be shaped like this. Let me go get some more soil. Then I look at it and I say, well, okay, this is the tree. How should I clip it? And so I would do this. So clean off some of the redundant branches so I can see where we are going with this. So now you can see this tree someday in a pot. It will look quite interesting. Of course, I will continue to refine it with time. So that's another Shohin. Shohin very quickly. You can do that very quickly. I can do that all day long. And this one I did a couple months ago, a rosemary I took out of someone's 5-gallon can, and I just reoriented to that. And you can see continuously flowering, blossoming, and I can clip off a piece for cooking because that's a good rosemary, like any rosemary. So that's a kind of a pleasurable small bonsai you can do. This is a little Catlin elm. You can see the leaf size reduces very quickly, and this, although I think the design could be improved over time, but right now it's okay. Some of the branches should be thicker or thin, but you can see with a little bit of clipping, this to be a nice little bonsai, and that's a nice little pot. Someone gave it to me. You can create these bonsai very quickly. I would say this is about a 3-year-old cutting from Catlin elm. So with that in your mind, then I can hold it in my hand and do a little bit of cleanup so you can see the branches a little bit better. I don't like the trees to be too cluttered so that you can see the design, the flow of the trunk, which is, I think it's a beautiful part of the design. And I'm just clipping off all the unnecessary branches and also the dead branches. They grow, these elm trees grows very rapidly this time of the year, springtime. And the one thing beautiful about the Catlin elm is that they're almost evergreen. That means they, unless it's really cold winter, it stays green in California, for example. So that makes it kind of nice. So when you look at it, you can see a small Shohin bonsai can be made very quickly and show some age. And I can easily remedy whatever I did right or did wrong. Next time, in a couple, 3 months, I got plenty to work on. I'm pulling off a lot of the unnecessary growth to show the trunk better. You can see this is nice little Shohin. Almost look at all good angles. You can see the bark is starting to turn. So that's the tree. So here's another one. I just, again, about the same time, cutting from Catlin elm. I put it in the pot. And you can see just a little cleanup will look nice. And after 5 cleanups, it looked very nice to put in a bonsai pot. The trick is not to have branches coming too close. You can deliberately so to make it look full, but then soon remove it to not distract from the main design. They tend to grow in clusters. Yeah, so you can see the trees got very nice flow, and when it fills out the little paths, I'll work on it some more to refine it. It will look quite nice in a small bonsai pot. Right? Okay, so here's another one. This is a Osage elm. You can see the leaves are extremely small, even smaller than the Catlin. But it has one characteristic a lot of people do not like because you cannot wire it. The branches are extremely brittle. If you wire it, it will break unless you are very careful to wire a bit at a time. So with that in mind, then I'll show you. I can do that in a few minutes. And when it after a couple of years, the trunk will bark out to give the age look for a little tree. That's quite nice. This branch is very brittle. If I do anything, you see it breaks. So when you wire it, it tends to break. Actually, the bigger branches tend to be very brittle. So with that in mind, then there's not really much I can do at this stage, but clean it up a bit, let it fill out, and clip it again. And I'll show you the progress probably in 3 months because elms tend to grow very rapidly in this little pot. Just remember, this is a small chopstick size trunk, but it will be probably an inch 2 years from now. Okay, there are 2 maple trees I want to show you because everybody loves Japanese maples. I came across this one in a nursery pot, actually in my growing ground, and I just cut it off because I love that little curve. So this is a big tree growing like this, but I saw this curve and I decided to use this branch to be the top. So you can see this is going to be very interesting Shohin in a pot about this size with this coming up and then this the apex and then this coming down. It's very abstract right now. You may not see it, but once I've done it, maybe I can play games with the bark to break it up and so forth to heal over. Like I purposely break this naturally so that it's not like a cut, but like a branch that's ripped off. So it's quite possible I can do a windswept with this coming out, and this coming up, and then go this way. Again, time will tell, but I'll give you an update every 3 to 6 months. And this is the Shohin Japanese maple I did about, with the 3 maple as a group that I bought from Home Depot maybe 3 months ago. So you can see I planted in really terrible garden soil. But Japanese maples are quite easy. And you can see with the ramification, the leaves are getting pretty small. I shouldn't be trimming it because I want the trunk to get thickened. But you can see there's so much growth in every direction. Like I can make this one the apex, so the next growth will be out of here, or I can pick one of these to become the apex, and pretty soon I have a little mame, a little small shohin, Japanese maple tree with a trunk about this size and this tall to scale. I think it will look quite nice and doesn't really take much, but in a 1-gallon pot. And this is I would say a 2-year, maybe at most 3-year-old seedling. And I've been working on it for about a year. So it's that easy to make shohin bonsai. So try it. You don't have to spend much time, money, and you have a nice bonsai. So I'll put it back, let it grow, and show you again 3 to 6 months progress, and you will like it. I think we both can learn a lot from it. So the last one is this one. I really like this one. This is probably a 20-year-old Catlin elm that I started, never wired. I just keep cutting it. Like here, you can see a big scar where I cut off. This tree was going up like this. I cut off, make that little branch to go to the side to get the twist. So you don't have to do any wiring. I never wired this tree, but now if I cut off a little bit, this one I wired it maybe a couple of months ago, maybe a month ago, and you can see if I remove the wire, it didn't bounce back much. It's good enough. You see, bounce back a little bit, but if I had to do, I nailed it down again, but I didn't scar anything. And the same thing with this one. I wanted this branch to come down a bit. So in fact, I think this branch can come down even a little more. So if I want to, I can certainly tighten this a little further. So you can make adjustment with the guide wire quite easily. Now, when I took it off, it didn't even move. So I can easily put it back and try to push it down and make it bend some more. So again, I like this tree a lot because the flow is really outstanding. And I'm gonna make this the apex. So when you look at it, this will be the apex because it will be a little bit more or less right on top of the current branch. And I can make it go this way to accentuate the flow. So now all I have to do is just like come here once in a while to just pinch off the excess growth. They usually grow in cluster under a branch that you cut. So you can just pull them off and to make it more like a mature tree where they will not have these clumps of growth. So you just have to pinch off a lot of growth. It will not hurt the tree. To keep the pad, you want to have a pad, and you cut off the ones that are growing outside of that pad when it's a straight one that shoots up. So it's very simple. Form your imaginary visionary design and then keep it within that vision or the profile that you have created. It doesn't really matter if you made a mistake, cut off something, it will grow back for you to have an opportunity to rechange your design. So you never make a mistake when you come to bonsai. That's the beauty of bonsai. It's a living art. So just be bold, go for it. You will not be able to cut it as fast as I do because you don't have the same experience that I lived through many similar branching situations. But you'll get there eventually. Take your time, right? And lastly, I want to show this Shinpaku, which people make a really big deal because it's from Japan. It's a very nice Shinpaku in the sense that the leaves are a little bit, the needles are a little bit smaller than the California juniper or the Prostrata juniper. But on the other hand, it has one big drawback is that the needle gets to be brown, yellowish brown in the wintertime. And so but it comes out green like right now in the spring very quickly. But still, during the winter months, it look kind of a drab. And I did this tree about 2 months ago as a demonstration to how to do a Shinpaku to show that I do like Shinpaku. And then I did the wiring. You can see I used relatively thick wire and a shiny wire so I can remove them without making a mistake by leaving them there. You can see as I remove it, it didn't move. That's only like a month. So people will leave their wire on for years at the end, and they cut into the tree really unnecessarily, damaging the tree, whereas they can really remove the wire very quickly. But I suppose if you spend 20 hours wiring, you hate to remove it, but you do damage to the tree. So that's my advice to the quick Q&A today about what advice do I have with wiring, is to wire sparingly and remove quickly, and also use shiny wire and thick wire so that the little tiny wire drives me crazy to remove them because I invariably miss them. These are the trees I bought at auctions. So I just remove all the wire. I will remove all the wire, and I don't need them. It's really that quick. A month or so of active growth season, you have your branch in place. In a way, you can say I'm not a perfectionist. I don't expect the tree to stay put exactly where it's at, but it's close enough. And then I remove the wire after I remove it's close enough, and that's good enough. So I'm a practical man. But you see, the branch, none of the branch even ever moved, just in about a 4 weeks or 6 weeks time frame. So now you can see the problem is that the pads are now well formed. But again, instead of cutting back drastically, I rather leave the leaves in place to speed up the growth of the tree to keep it healthy. But I should just cut off any of the redundant one to make the pad more visible or easier to visualize. So you can see this is the apex, and then there's branch coming out here and branch going out there. And there you are. That is the tree. And the imaginary paths were filled up, and we'll see what it looks like. And that's done. Today, I quickly ran through 10 Shohin bonsai, starter bonsai. Aside from this one, I'm quite happy. This is probably a 20-year-old tree that I work on from a 1-gallon Catlin elm. What I did basically is to clean off these branches so let it have a next flush of growth so that I can show you the progress of these trees. And I think there's a good way to learn how the trees develop. Thank you very much. I hope you like this video and click like so that I get my jolly. And please subscribe to our channel. And I see you next week.